and some of the associated videos. We're doing this under the current OIS video evidence release protocol, which was signed by the police chiefs and the Sheriff's Association for San Diego County. Any broadcast outlets that may be live streaming or broadcasting this news conference live, please be advised that these videos contain graphic, violent content that's not appropriate for a general audience, including children. Once this press event concludes, copies of the letters and the videos will be made available to you. The law gives police officers the same self-defense and defense of other rights that each of us has. Additionally, peace officers may use deadly force to protect themselves from the threat of great bodily injury in the course of their duties. Officers have additional rights because of the nature of their job. Peace officers may use deadly force in the course of their duties under circumstances not available to members of the public. The law further recognizes that police officers are often forced to make split-second judgments in circumstances that are tense, uncertain, and rapidly evolving. Before we begin, a few reminders. The video evidence that we're showing you is exempt under the California Public Records Act. Our decision to release it is not otherwise, we don't otherwise waive the privilege. We don't plan on releasing any additional evidence from the investigatory materials at this time, and continue to claim the privileges we're entitled to under the law. As I mentioned, these videos can be graphic and disturbing to watch. The media has a responsibility to decide which portions of the video are ultimately broadcast and posted online, and to respect the impact that broadcasting these videos has on family members. They also have the duty to put these videos into context, because presented out of context, a video clip can lead to incorrect and sometimes inflammatory narratives about an incident. With context, video evidence can aid the public in understanding why and how an officer-involved shooting occurred, and build a public trust in law enforcement. Pursuant to the release policy, we only release video that is relevant to our legal analysis. In other words, the videos that show what happened in the moments or minutes leading up to the shooting. Faces of the individuals are blurred out of respect for their privacy. In general, the video will stop once the individual who is shot is no longer an immediate threat and no more shots are being fired. Let me just step back for a minute to explain the purpose of the District Attorney's review of officer-involved shootings. It is to provide an independent review and to assure the public that peace officers in San Diego County are performing their duties in a legally justified manner. Under California law, peace officers may use deadly force to protect themselves from the threat of death or great bodily injury. Just as with any other citizen, the law of self-defense is available to peace officers as well. Homicide is justifiable when resisting any attempt by a person to commit great bodily injury or kill a person. California Penal Code Section 835A states the officer need not retreat or end his effort to make an arrest because of a person's resistance. An officer's use of deadly force is reasonable if the officer has probable cause to believe that the suspect poses a significant threat of death or serious physical injury to the officer or to others. What our review does not include is issues as to compliance with the policies and procedures of any of the law enforcement agencies, ways to improve training, or any issues that are related to civil liability. So let's move on to the first incident. The fatal shooting of Mr. David Avila on August 4th of last year. Just after noon, an Orange County Sheriff's deputy was parked in a patrol vehicle at the bottom of the off-ramp at Interstate 5 to Las Pulgas Road, working on his reports. The deputy heard the sound of screeching tires and saw a white vehicle which appeared to be preparing to ram his patrol vehicle. The deputy saw the driver, Mr. Avila, pointing and yelling at him in an aggressive manner. The deputy exited his vehicle and approached Mr. Avila. Mr. Avila told the deputy he had a gun, he was going to kill the deputy or himself, and that he, quote, better call for backup. The deputy retreated to his patrol car and called for assistance. State and federal law enforcement agencies responded to the location. Law enforcement officers repeatedly attempted to calm Mr. Avila, but he continued to make threats and said he was a suspect in the murder of his parents. They asked him to put the gun away, not make any sudden moves, show his hands, and stay in the car. They assured him that they were only trying to help him and were looking out for his best interests. Avila also said he was in the military and asked for a chaplain or some other military representative. Military personnel were located and arrived at the scene. During the standoff, Avila told deputies he had a gun pointed at his own stomach and he refused to show his right hand. Officers learned that Avila had a gun registered to him, but were unable to determine if he had that weapon in his right hand because he had wrapped a shirt around his hand. Deputies repeatedly asked Avila to put the gun down and slowly show his hands. After more than an hour of attempted negotiations with Avila, he suddenly exited his vehicle with his right hand still covered in a shirt and extended outwards at the officers as if he had a gun in his hand. Officers repeatedly instructed Avila to stay in his vehicle. Avila approached the officers, taunting them with expletives and yelling they were going to, in quote, get it, end quote. Officers yelled for Avila to get on the ground. Avila ignored the commands and continued to advance on the officers with his right hand raised. 2 non-lethal beanbag rounds were fired by an Orange County Sheriff's deputy. 1 beanbag struck Avila and almost simultaneously, 5 other law enforcement officers fired at Avila, striking him several times. There were in excess of 40 law enforcement witnesses who responded to the scene and were in positions to observe portions of the incident. Those witnesses were from the California Highway Patrol, Orange County Sheriff's Department, United States Border Patrol, and the United States Marine Corps. Many of these law enforcement witnesses saw Mr. Avila exit his vehicle and point his covered right hand at officers in a manner simulating pointing a gun. An investigation after the shooting revealed that Mr. Avila suffered from mental health issues as well as drug dependency. Toxicology results of Mr. Avila were positive for methamphetamine. There is video footage that corroborates the witnesses' descriptions of the incident. However, Mr. Avila's family has been in contact with our office and they have requested that the video not be released. I want to read you their request, which came from Mr. Avila's parents. In quote, "Our family does not wish the video of the circumstances leading to the shooting of our son, Daniel Avila, to be publicly released. We do not wish to see the video, nor do we want it to be on TV or internet for anyone, including ourselves, to view at any time. We do not wish this to occur because we have been through enough pain already. We do not wish the media to contact us regarding this matter. While it is the default position in the protocol that we signed earlier this year for the County Chiefs and Sheriffs Association to release the videos, the protocol also allows for exceptions. When it comes to releasing video evidence, we engage in a balancing test between many competing interests, including public safety, the interests of justice, a family's wishes, and the demand made by the public and the media to see videos of officer-involved shootings. After careful consideration, the DA's office has decided not to release the video in this instance, and I'd ask the media to honor their wishes. Moving forward, our office will consider any such requests on a case-by-case basis when deciding whether or not to release video publicly. And while a family's request not to release will be considered, it won't automatically be a determining factor to withhold video. It's just one piece in the decision-making that we have to go through. The second incident is the fatal shooting of Mr. Thongsoune Vilaysane on May 11th of this year. San Diego police officers saw Mr. Vilaysane driving away from a house on Pago Place known to be frequented by gang members. When a patrol unit turned around to follow Vilaysane, he accelerated and drove through a stop sign. Vilaysane led officers on a pursuit, at one point pulling into the driveway of a residence. A uniformed officer approached the car on foot, shouting commands to show his hands and not to move. Vilaysane looked in the direction of the officer and quickly backed out of the driveway, causing the officer to jump out of the way to avoid being hit. The officer recognized Vilaysane as a parolee whom he had recently arrested. Another parole unit joined the pursuit. Vilaysane drove around the neighborhood and returned to Pago Place, where he struck the side of a parked car. The patrol unit stopped behind him and officers got out of their cars. Two of the officers were to the left of the car Vilaysane was driving. They were in a confined space created by the car parked at the curb, Vilaysane's car, and a patrol unit. Instead of continuing forward, Vilaysane reversed backward at an angle, forcefully striking the front of the first patrol unit within feet of the two officers. He drove forward and then reversed a second time at an angle toward the officers, even though there was nothing stopping him from driving forward from the officers. All four officers fired at Vilaysane. The car rolled forward and up into a curb. There were several civilian witnesses to the shooting. 5 civilian witnesses said they heard the vehicle collision and saw portions of the shooting event. All 5 of those witnesses said they saw or heard one or more of the officers order Vilaysane to stop his car and place his hands where they could see them. 3 of the witnesses described Vilaysane's vehicle backing up and aiming for the officers or their marked police vehicles. One of those witnesses said Vilaysane was trying to ram his car into the officers. There is body-worn camera video, Able helicopter video, and private surveillance video. You'll see the surveillance video first, which shows portions of the chase as Mr. Vilaysane led officers down the same street more than once. That's followed by 3 body-worn camera videos. Because the video only shows part of the scene, this is an overhead still photo taken from an Able video, which shows the confined area of the street where the incident occurred. You can see the location of the patrol units in the middle of the street, a car parked on the left side of the street, and cars parked to the right side of the street. There was one officer who was blocked in by all three cars. One officer was standing at the front side panel of the patrol unit. A series of 9 still photos reveal that Mr. Vilaysane's car came within feet of officers as he sped backward toward their positions. Cycling through these photos, you can see an officer advancing on the car and then the car backing up towards the officer. An investigation revealed the car driven by Vilaysane had been stolen from Carlsbad about 5 days prior to the incident. Toxicology results showed there was methamphetamine and amphetamines in his system. The medical examiner noted numerous tattoos on Vilaysane's body that are used to claim allegiance to and identify a person as a member of a criminal San Diego gang. The third officer-involved shooting occurred on April 8, 2014. 2 San Diego County Sheriff's deputies were working in La Mesa investigating a series of daytime burglaries. One of the deputies saw a male later identified as Allan David Riley walking on Jackson Drive near Center Drive. The deputies noticed Riley was carrying a backpack and appeared to have prison-style tattoos on his arms. Riley turned and walked away from the deputies and walked into a gas station lot. The deputies decided to contact Riley and talk with him. Mr. Riley gave a false name and a date of birth to the deputy of an individual who had an outstanding felony warrant, prompting one of the deputies to ask to see identification, which Riley declined to provide. One of the deputies then asked Mr. Riley to remove his backpack. Riley declined and told the deputy he could not search him. Riley started backing away from the deputies. Both deputies told Riley to relax and take it easy, but Riley backed away more rapidly. One of the deputies grabbed Riley's left arm. During a struggle, Mr. Riley reached into the back of his waistband and pulled out a 9.5-inch hunting knife with his right hand. One deputy asked, "Is that a knife?" while the other deputy continued to attempt to restrain Riley. Riley bent forward at his waist, lunged forward with the knife, and stabbed one of the deputies in the left thigh. The other deputy positioned himself to the left side of Riley and fired one round, striking the left side of Riley's abdomen. Riley dropped the knife and fell to the ground. First aid was performed on Riley at the scene, and he was transported to the hospital where he underwent surgery and recovered from his gunshot wound. Toxicology test results later revealed Riley had opiates, amphetamines, and benzos at the time. Riley was charged with assault with a deadly weapon on a peace officer, carrying a concealed knife, failure to appear while on bail, giving false information to a peace officer, and possession of paraphernalia used for narcotics. This week, a jury found him guilty of all the charges. He's scheduled to be sentenced on December 9th. There is video of the incident from the gas station surveillance camera, which does not have audio. Based on the facts and the evidence and the review of the officer's decision to shoot in all of these incidences, they bear no criminal liability for their actions. In addition to the videos and the photos, we're also providing you with the copies of the letters our office has delivered to the respective law enforcement agencies, which are much more in detail summarizing our review of the incidents. The letters contain many more details and facts and evidence, and why we reached our conclusion not to file criminal charges. I encourage the media outlets to include these letters alongside any videos they may post. Does anybody have any questions?
Yes, Bonnie, the Alvia case, can you give me, again, you talked about the decision not to release the video based on the family's letter, and the compelling reason for you personally, based on what this letter said, and your decision not to release the video?
Well, one of the things I think we look at is the family and the impact on the family. And this family was already devastated by the loss of their son, and they didn't want to be re-traumatized. It's not that long ago.
In the Thongsoune, I think that's how you pronounce it, case, just a couple of quickies. There was no audio on most of those clips. Why?
The use of the body-worn camera technology has been evolving, and this was the first round of body-worn camera that the first 30 seconds didn't have any audio, and then it began thereafter.
So the video, the audio portion wasn't altered, because obviously we hear car alarms at the end of it, but none of the shooting.
That's when the audio turned on, was when you heard the car alarm. So no, it wasn't. There isn't anything that is missing. It's just that these cameras, they're in the second phase now, which is a little bit better because it backs it up further and gives you more audio. But in this phase, the first portion where there's no audio, that's because it's a buffer before the audio begins.
And why the decision in the Thongsoune case to use to show stills? Because some might argue that the still frames may take the entire incident out of context.
Well, it's difficult. It moves fast, and so in order to provide you with a close-up view of things, we put it in still photos. We're showing you the entire video so you can see it in the context, so you can see that we're not altering it in any way. But we felt that it was important for you to see in a better way, because it goes like that when you do it, when you watch the video. And the stills are more helpful to the understanding of what the officer saw and did.
So just to clarify, the still photos then were taken from the video we all saw. They're not different from...
Exactly. Yes, you're right.
In Bonnie, in the Thongsoune case also, witnesses reported hearing like some 40 shots. Can you confirm that number, and in your opinion, was that number of shots, if it was in fact that high, excessive?
Well, there were a number of shots. I'm not exactly sure how many shots that there were, but how many shots there were is a policy issue, not an issue for us to consider. What we consider is, under these circumstances, did the officers feel like they were in a situation where they reasonably believed they were fearful for their lives or for the lives of others? So the number doesn't count. It counts on what the threat is.
And then can you confirm exactly how many? Did I hear you say 4 officers fired?
Let me check. Let me see. We're talking about Vilaysane, right? So there were 2 officers that were on the left of the vehicle, of his vehicle, and there was the car and the patrol unit, And your question was how many shots were fired?
No, how many officers fired?
4.
4. Okay, and then in one last question on that, Thongsoune, you're right, it happens like that, and this was the first time and only time that we've been able to see it so far, and as I look at it, it didn't appear that the video starts as the car is backing up, or did it? Because it just appeared that, you know, we saw the officers shooting almost after the fact, so we didn't really see what led up to the shooting. Am I mistaken in saying that we did not see the car backing up toward officers, as opposed to just after they started shooting, we see it kind of rolling forward back into that driveway?
I'm going to leave that to you to interpret the video. What I think is, what we have to remember, which is why we say taking video without the context is sometimes misleading, because the video, depending on where it's placed, if it's in the chest, sometimes when they're shooting, they cover it up. They cover up, you know, what's going on. Sometimes it doesn't catch the angle of things, and sometimes it doesn't start right away. So I can't answer that question. Are you done, Ari?
Sorry.
Did he ask all of your questions?
In the final video, was there anything discovered in the backpack, or was that anything?
I don't recall. You'll have to look at the letter to see if there was any mention of what's in the backpack. Okay, well, thank you very much.
Barbara has all the flash drives. Come on, chat this way, Bobby, if you want.
Okay, good. Yesterday, yeah.
Michael Rennie's case. The city's facing the window. 38 years.